Crumb TV.
Crumb TV.
Hey, we in Chicago, y'all, and y'all watching Crumb TV.
It's your brother, Tim Buck 2. I say,
You are now watching Crumb TV.
You in Chi-Town finest. You're in Inglewood, always up to no good.
man, I'm telling my brother Crumb.
You're watching Crumb TV.
I'm your humble brother, and you are watching Crumb TV.
Reporting live from the Wild Hunter Southside Chicago.
And you now watching Crumb TV.
And you're watching Crumb TV.
Crumb TV, baby. Hey.
Crumb TV.
Peace. Ashe. Islam. Namaste. Okay. Grand Rising. Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum salam. Bom dia. Oseo. Halito. Wagwan. Whatever the greeting is in your respective language, family, I am your humble brother Crumb here for another installation of Crumb TV. Family, here, I got in trouble for that other music, so I just want to play some different music, but I ain't gonna lie to nobody. I don't like that music, family. That's lo-fi, so let's just cut it there. Cut. So with that said, family, you already know what it is. This video is called Do Parasites Affect Your Health? But listen, before we get into all of that, I'm going to do what I do best. Let's put some respect on your name by acknowledging the first responders. Within the first 2.5 minutes, there are more than 26 first responders. So for the sake of time, we'll just do the first 3. We call that the perfect trifecta. And yes, family, I do want to emphasize perfect. We'll just do the first 3 members. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description. By far, my edited content is the best content. But a lot of stuff is in the members only category too. So tap all the way in. Number 1 in the building of this perfect trifecta, it's True King. I see you changed that profile picture. I'm liking that. I'm liking that. He says, peace with the big Ashe, master students. I'm saying peace back. I see you. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm always humbled and honored and grateful. Listen, family, that's A1 since day one. Put some respect on his name. He's a moderator as well. Salute to you. Number 2 in the building of this perfect trifecta. And yes, I do want to emphasize perfect. It's my other brother. From another mother, A1 since day one. You already know what it is. This is Mr. Vinagati. He says peace at Crumb TV and the master students. We saying peace back. It's always a pleasure, good brother, to have you in the building and an honor. Number 3 in the building of this perfect trifecta, because the family is all here. Does anybody know how much all is? It's Christ bearer. What a powerful name. He says, sup, master students. I'm glad that we acknowledge that. Listen, family, if you're over here, you're probably already initiated. You're probably already a part of, Revenge of the Nerds or whatever the case may be. But we are master students nonetheless. So I see you. I love you. I appreciate you. Always a pleasure to have you in the building. Family, I want to start things off the right way and introduce the panel. As you already know, I have a lineup of matriarchs. And I want to start with my the grand matriarch for me personally is none other than Sharice. I want to say peace and love. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Peace and love. It's good to be here, and I appreciate and am honored that you even asked me to be on the panel with such other beautiful matriarchs.
I'm grateful to have you. It is an honor and a pleasure. Before we get started, could you tell the family who you are, where we can find you at?
I am Cherie Reed L. With Reed's Learning Street. You can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, as well as YouTube. Reed's Learning Street, and yeah, that's pretty much where you can find us in Detroit, Michigan, as well.
What up, though? All right. Thank you so much. Reed's Learning Street, family, tap all the way in. She is a brilliant mind. So shout out to you. Number two in the building of the panel, it is none other than my sis, Brianka. Peace and love, sis. How are you? You just gotta hit that good unmute button. Yep. I think we still have an issue on audio. Hmm. Take your time. Take your time. Um, what you can do is under your picture, like in the at the bottom or the I guess it's called the studio. Beside you is going to be a mic, and beside that, three dots. One of those three dots should say "Edit Mic Settings" with a little gear logo or icon. Um, so just kind of see if you can uh, switch the settings. Maybe there's a different microphone. Hmm. No, still not anything. Take your time, though. Take your time. Take your time. While you're doing that, no rush at all. No rush at all. Um, I wanted to point out this good PowerPoint I had. And let's see. Before I jump into the PowerPoint, because I want to make sure that we make space for our sis, it's super important that we have her here and we hear from her. So let me see if I can. No, I can't touch her settings. Okay, no problem. Now, what you may want to do, it's completely up to you. What you may want to do is leave and come back just to see if that'll maybe a quick refresh. And we're gonna wait for you. Take your time. All right. And family, let me say this. I remember when we would go to church and the preacher would be long-winded without saying a bunch of anything, and we sit there for an hour. Oh, touch your neighbor, tell your neighbor. No, I'm ready to go home. And they would just do this long, drawn out situation, and we'd have to sit through it, and it would just be nothing. Um, the brother protest show 3 days in a row. But anyway, yeah. With that said, let's be patient for those who do have good information to share. So while we waiting on her to tap in, I did want to say, yeah, I did want to kind of tap in with the whole parasite situation. Uh, Matriarch, would you like to just kind of give your thoughts initially, if that's okay? Oh, well, I'm sorry. Give me 2 seconds. I just got another sister in, and I want to introduce her as well. It is Ariel, the Archangel. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Peace and love. I'm well. How are you, Crum?
All is well. All is truly well. Thank you for asking. Um, I wanted to ask before we, jump right into it, if you could tell the family who you are and where we can find you at.
I'm Ariel, the Archangel, also known as the Angelic Alchemist. You can find me on Facebook as Ariel Williams. You can also find me on Instagram, Angelic double underscore alchemy. That page will start to be live in another day or two. Been working on the content for that because I wear a lot of hats. Um, I'm a ceremonialist. I'm a sacred medicine woman. I'm a divine healer. All of that. So just glad to be a part of the show.
Always glad to have you as well. Let me see if I can make space for my sister as well. Let's get a sound check from you,
Can you hear me?
Holistic Mystic. Yeah, there we
I'm
go.
good. All right. All right. Peace, everybody. Peace, peace. My name is Brianka Ashanti. I also go by Holistic Mystic. You can find me on Facebook under Brianka Ashanti. I am a traditional midwife, a holistic doula, instructor. I am a herbalist. My website is secretskeptinnature.co. You can find me on TikTok. You'll see me up there delivering babies. You name it, anything that's dealing with womb related health, herbs, healing, I do it. So those are my handles. And I'm looking forward to this build. Give thanks for the space, opportunity to build with other divine feminine.
And shout out to all of the matriarchs. and glad to have you all here as well. If you want to turn your camera off, that's totally fine. If you want to keep it on, that's totally fine as well. It's really up to you. No pressure either way. Um, but I wanted to go into parasites. I'll start it off with just some simple whatever, and then we can kind of go wherever you see fit. So let's start here. This particular PowerPoint is over 100 slides. I just, allocate the first 33 for this conversation because I'm sure we won't get past it. But ultimately, the PowerPoint is based off the book, The Cure for All Diseases, with many case histories. And of course, I got the paperback version, which was written December 31st, the very end of the year in 1994. This is old news, family. This is old news. Tap all the way in. So this is by Dr. Clark, a fan favorite from the master students. It reads, and I'll just do the bold. All diseases have simple explanations and cures. Once their true cause is known, Dr. Hulda Clark explains the causes of both common and extraordinary diseases. And spoiler alert, family, these diseases are parasite based. And I don't want to make extraordinary claims without bringing extraordinary evidence, but we want to have conversation too and keep it where everybody can understand. But nonetheless, I'll just read this and then we'll move on. This is the back of the book. Leads to new discoveries. In every case of the mysterious disease diabetes, you find the not so mysterious parasite erythrema and the fairly common pollutant wood alcohol. Every case, and never in healthy people. Similarly, in cancer, HIV, Alzheimer's, endometriosis, just to name a few, you can find specific parasites and or a pollutant at work. Um, Let me breathe there before I just go into that. Any opening thoughts on parasites? And I was going to go with Sharice initially, so I wanted to see if I can get her to tap in first, if that's okay, please.
Gratitude, gratitude. I appreciate you ladies for allowing me to be in your presence with your knowledge and wisdom. I study a lot of, I'm a homeschooler, and so I do a lot of studying. And even in recent times, come across different studies that have come up with the same thing that is being stated, that everything starts as a dis-ease, a parasite that can be taken away, or it is the cause. So why are we searching for a cure when we can just attack the cause as opposed to a cure for, I'm not even sure how to label it when others are feeding us the cause and then also feeding us the cure. I've been studying parasitic effects on the brain a lot lately. Alzheimer's, autism, ADHD, because these have been a lot of labels given to our youth in the school districts. And it seems that it's a catch-all almost, but they're feeding, as Dr. Clark states in the book, they're feeding the worms or these parasites to our youth, even in the womb, before even the child is formed. We're feeding our women food that's not healthy while they're pregnant, that's giving them parasites that gets into the child that then becomes ADHD or autism or even with elders, Alzheimer's, because it's eating away at brain cells. and never mind what other cells it's eating away at. I digress, and I'll let one of the other, because we have a womb expert here, and I really want you to bring forth.
As usual, always well said. I believe she was referring to Queen Mother Matriarch Bianca. If you want, please just open up the floor any direction you want to go. What are your just opening thoughts on Parasites before we continue?
I just want to piggyback off of what Sharice had mentioned about um, parasites and how we're being offered a solution, but the people that we're getting the solution from are the ones who are creating the problem as well. So that goes into, I mean, we can go down a rabbit hole. That goes to being self sustainable, that goes to growing your own food, that goes to taking control of your own life, handling your own affairs. It's a little bit deeper than just going to the grocery store and then um, grocery shopping or taking some over the counter medicine for a common cold, because it's deeper than a common cold. I do strongly feel that all diseases begin in the colon, and all diseases are parasitic. This ease is imbalance within the body. Dis-ease, if you break up the word. And like she mentioned, we have ADHD. I'm a mother of a child that is labeled as autistic. So I know that it does start at conception. It does start in the womb. It does affect the brain. Um, Even with the things that we consume before conception, they play a part in how our DNA is shifted, how our DNA and our children will be built, and then also that of the fathers. So, what you eat, I know people be like, "Oh, what you eat don't make me poop," but it do. It do. It literally does. We What we eat affects our generations to come, whether we intend on having children or, you know, we're planning. Um, It all begins in what you consume. And parasites are not limited to food. It's music. It's what you put on your body. It's the clothing that we're wearing. It's literally in everything. So you can be a little bit extreme. People would call me an extremist a couple of years ago because I was like wearing 100% linen and 100% cotton, and I'm using bamboo toothbrushes, because all of that, if we're not conscious and we're not aware into the things that we are consuming, it becomes parasitic. And I consider parasites demons, but I digress.
You better teach. Archangel, please tap all the way in. I know that I had an issue, or maybe not, but you had you wanted to add value because this wasn't necessarily health. You know, it's a lot deeper, and I think Brianka alluded to it, and I wanted to see if you wanted to kind of uh, fill the gaps where I've dropped the ball at, because the title doesn't necessarily fit this conversation. Help me out though.
For sure. And these goddesses are doing amazing. I just want to honor you all with that because I love every piece that you all gave so far. And I'm just to piggyback off the last goddess. This is a Hegelian dialectic situation where there's a problem, reaction, solution coming from the same sources. And I find it funny and interesting because a lot of these sources that we'll go to for um, wellness in the Western world and hemisphere, um, they don't even address parasites. When you go to the hospital, you go to these doctors or these medical priests or these pharmaceutical companies, they don't give you any of that, and they're very well aware of it. You go in the Eastern cultures and they deworm every 3 to 6 months, you know. But over here, they'll heal your dog and your cats and your pets better than they'll heal you. They'll give you a powerful dewormer for your animals, but they won't give you any of that kind of stuff at all for
You
yourself.
better teach.
You better off taking the stuff from the veterinarian. And that's, I think, what they got on Joe Rogan about, because they were like, wait a minute, you're taking like horse dewormer, you're taking dog dewormer. What are you doing, bro? But this stuff is more potent and gets the job done better than these pharmaceuticals are. and it's an agenda because it's a part of a bigger archonic parasite, which goes into another aspect of the conversation that I feel is very important when we're dealing with the seven cosmic laws, the seven principles. One being correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. Parasites exist on the subatomic level, on the third dimensional level, on the higher levels to a degree as well. These inner realms, and the way that it things happen on a third dimensional plane, it can be reflected on what's going on in the body. And I find it to be very interesting because on the third dimensional plane, we can see parasitic forces as the archonic forces, right? So on a lower level, you have like the cops and the alphabet boys and stuff like that that are, oppressing, and they're leeching off of, humanity and all of that. And then you have like the 13 royal bloodlines, so-called royal, whatever have you, that are pretty much the higher ups that these lower parasitic forces are protecting and um, doing all of this work to be able to bring the energy to these archonic forces. So then on the flip side, on the inner terrain level, on the body, you have these lower level parasites, these hookworms, and these you know um wingworms, and tapeworms, and all of these different kind of lower parasites. They're pretty much the bodyguards to higher ranking parasites in the body, which are like autoimmune diseases and viruses. So they work together as a pecking order in the same way. But the great thing about it is the body is very intelligent, and it has its own pecking order of immune responses and genetic memory that knows how to eradicate these things. And I think that's where the conversation really needs to be focused on, in terms of like how we really get to the root of the healing and eradicating these things. Is just really getting into terrain modification and genetic engineering, because that's what the bigger picture is. I feel that these parasites play a role in reverse engineering genetically, and we have to answer to that with re-engineering ourselves at a higher quantitative rate than what we're being reverse engineered at. So this is definitely a big deal. This is where the rubber meets the road for me.
You really come out swinging. I absolutely love it. Um, Now, of course, wherever you see fit, I'm just kind of using this as a guide. So we're starting with the womb, but we don't have to go there. I know we talked about Sharice spoke about the brain, and I have something on the brain here. So, if you really want to go there, that's no problem at all. So, but this is just where we're at now. The womb, they're all, anybody know how much all is? They're all polluted. Some solvents choose the uterus to accumulate in. This set this sets the stage for endometriosis and fertility problems. Um, where there are large parasites, smaller ones soon crowd in. All bring their own bacteria and viruses. Gardnerella, especially, is found in cases of endometriosis, ovarian cyst, and menstrual problems. The flukes, evidently, travel from the uterus to other parts of the body cavity, excuse me, distributing bits of the uterine lining as they go. I found this part super interesting because the ancient Romans said that the womb wandered, and I found it so interesting. Why would these people would say something to that effect? Why are they saying the womb is wandering? Now, are they saying it to this degree? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But ultimately, these things are going to start out consuming parts of the womb, and they'll travel beyond that. This is the fluke worm in particular. I'll say this and I'll pass the mic. I found it super interesting that you did mention Archangel. You did mention ringworm. I was talking to my brother and he says, "Oh, these are parasites, not worms." I said, "Fine, they're parasites, but why do you call them ringworm if it's a parasite? Because the ancestors called them worms." But maybe we should continue. Maybe I should breathe on this. What say ye, ladies? Sharice.
Mad facts. Um, when you spoke on, when the matriarch above, above me here, she spoke on horse uh, tranquilizers and out. My cabinet has animal uh, remedies because a pediatrician or a regular doctor will not heal you as well as an animal doctor. And that's, as you said, really interesting that even us as, or me, I utilize those types of. I've got, what do you call that? The ointment that they put on horses when you ache or when they ache. That is what I use instead of what they give at the quote unquote medical facility. Uh, when the, I had a dog once upon a time, and yes, every 3 months they would prescribe my dog a dewormer to keep the dog healthy. Yet my physician never said anything about deworming. I would have to deworm myself on my own. But these are things that I appreciate that we're bringing forth so that others can know that these are small little steps that we can take to attack the cause as opposed to finding a cure. Even though, yes, the cure is important, the cause for me is more important because that cause, that worm or parasite, however you want to choose to refer to it, if we can attack that, and as the matriarch below us said, or both of you, it's levels to the it's levels to this. Yes, demons and spiritual demons in high places that are utilizing any avenue to attack and change our DNA and our structure because ye are gods, thus saith the Lord. I digress.
Brianka?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is my thing. When we talk about the womb, I feel like you just called my name. But most people don't know that the intestines sit right there by the uterus. So whatever is going on in the intestines and the colon is going on in the uterus. So if you eating toxic, that stuff is spilling over. The intestines is about 3 times, I would say 3 times your height. So your 8 ounce bottle of water, your 16 ounce of water, your gallon jug is not flushing you out. It's not. Um, when I talk to people about cleansing before fertility or cleansing before trying to conceive, they're like, "Oh, I use a bathroom every day." But there's nothing like an internal shower. I push enemas and everybody gets spooked out because they have this visual of what an enema is and what an enema looks like, but I call it an internal shower. Um, Parasites and candida, they don't just live in the gut. They live in a reproductive system as well. They show up as irregular cycles. They show up as painful cramps. You laying in the bed for 3 to 4 days because of your menstrual is not normal. Like we stated, endometriosis, cysts, fertility struggles, even postpartum complications. And we always say that the gut is your other brain. So whatever is happening in your gut is going to happen to the mind. For men, I would say, because we're not just going to talk about the womb space because I mean, it's balance. It's masculine, feminine balance. For men, the parasites can weaken the sperm. It can weaken the sperm count and the viability. When you go to other countries, like the matriarch stated, every 3 to 4 months, when the season change, when the moon change, when there's an eclipse, when there's a solstice, when there's an equinox, they're doing a washout. I lived in Jamaica for a while, when I was pregnant with my first child, and they have something that's called a washout. It's just known if you're gonna eat a certain way, there's a amount of ratio, vegetable to meat ratio, because they know that essentially it's a carcass, it's a dead body. So a dead body holds what? Parasites, worms, flukes, you name it. And then parasites show up in different forms. So you have parasites in the form of mucus, you have the parasites in the form of acne, rashes. Um, but yeah, it's a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual and ceremonial thing. Um, Everything that I teach pretty much revolves around making a ceremony out of it. So your washouts, your enemas, your cleansing phases, that should be honored as a part of ceremony. And demons don't like those type of ceremonies. They like their low vibrational ceremonies. Um, when I see people making certain decisions, I say, "Oh no, that's not you. That's the parasite talking." Even when people are on their parasite cleanses, and then now you're walking into the store and you want some Doritos, and you know you ain't ate no Doritos in 15 years. Parasite die off. That's not you. That's the parasite taking over your brain. So modern science will probably give us, like, I would say, I wouldn't even say remedies, because they don't remedy anything. They'll give us cover-ups and bandages to treat the symptoms, but not get to the root cause. And I feel like that's where we mess up. We run to the doctor. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust the knowledge that the ancestors left for us. We don't trust our common sense, because 1 and 1 don't equal 2 no more. 1 and 1 equals 17, and it just don't make sense. I've read about this. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long, but I read about this study about this parasite that was pretty much uh, it was made to rewire a rat's brain. So when the rats see a cat, they don't even run no more, because the parasite is needing another host. And that's how it happens in the womb as well. Sometimes when women are hypersexual or men are hypersexual, that's not even them, that's the parasite needing another host to multiply, to mutate, to reproduce.
You better teach. Well said. Um, Archangel, please.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, matriarchs is going in. Just want to touch on, they touched on a lot, and I think you mentioned something about um, ringworms and the significance of those. Um, and um, I tend to look at things on an esoteric level too, because a lot of dis-ease starts in the energetic bodies and then manifest in the material world. And um, ringworms is a red circular uh, type of parasite. And a lot of that is, when you're dealing with a circular worm, you're dealing with cycles, repetition, you know, doing the same thing over, that you're not able to break certain patterns from, or just having issues with boundaries. So that ringworm type of parasite is a physical manifestation of that. I think it's very important for us to really purify the blood, because the blood is a magnet. That's why, us as women, we know when we menstruate, that smell is usually like a lead kind of smell, because it's a metal, it's a magnet, you know. So, in order to magnetize higher vibrational experiences, you want your blood to vibrate higher and have a high alkalinity and pH. When the blood is acidic and parasitic, you manifest um, parasitic people, places, and things a lot quicker and easier. So we're dealing with an electromagnetic um, system here with our own body and its intelligence and the outer world, and how it reflects on what it is that we are carrying in terms of how our internal system looks and vibrates. So just put that out there. There's more we can talk about, but I think that's good for now.
Yeah, absolutely. to Bree's point, I wanted to say that men do carry um, parasites in the prostate. That's a big one for guys. So, you know, if that means anything to balance the conversation out, um, I don't want to, leave the guys out. They do have a special place for the parasites. Congratulations, guys. No, did you want to say something, please?
Yeah, I wanted to add on to what the sister was saying about the ring and the cycles, and that reminds you of the Fibonacci sequence and how things just spiral. When you look at a turtle, when you look at a tree trunk, when you look at things that start and then circle back around and meet that same beginning point, that you know that that's a cycle and that has to be broken. So even if you do a parasite cleanse, let's say we do a parasite cleanse on spring solstice, March 20th, 21st, whatever. And you notice the next year around the same time, you're having those same symptoms, those same realities, those same obstacles in life, whether it be metaphysical, physical, or emotional. And I like Facebook for this. Like, I like Facebook for the memories because it reminds you of the cycles that you repeated. And it reminds you that the cycle that you're in, have you broken that cycle, or are you still within that same cycle? So I just want to add about the Fibonacci sequence and like paying attention to the rings of life and the circles and even down to circadian rhythms. Like being up at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning is parasitic. You're supposed to be asleep. When
Teach.
the sun is up, you up. When the sun is down, you down. So it's more than just, like I said, what you consume by mouth. And to your point, you said that the men prostate parasites live there. And I know in some biblical texts and some religious texts, they remind women that the child that we carry belongs to the father. And I strongly believe that. Like, I know that women we in our divine feminine and we in our uh, unapologetically era. I am not a pick Misha, by the way, but I'm not biased to women. I know that the head of the sperm is the brain and the tail of the sperm is the spine. So how that child comes out is determined by the sperm and the quality um, of their father's health.
Wow, super powerful. Um, I wanted to press Archangel just a little bit, if that's okay. Sis, when we were having our kind of side conversation before we even had this live, you had brought up are parasites capable of editing your genetics? You open the door, I'm going to demand you walk through it.
Yeah, that's a very important question. I feel it should be discussed because it's true. They can. Um, when it comes to parasites editing genetics, that's the whole point of a lot of these advanced parasites that are deliberately being placed inside of our bodies. And we know that because they speak to these programs like the mRNA and these autoimmune diseases where these parasites will go into the body and they will hijack the cells and they will pretend to be a part of the immune system, and then the immune system starts to attack itself. That's gene editing. That's rewriting your code, removing certain codes. That's a lot of what is being done in terms of these quiet weapons for silent wars.
You
And
better teach.
yeah,
Mhm.
I have a very radical approach. Uh, I have a stellium in Aries, so a lot of my energy is very, fiery. That's the thing about being an archangel. We deal with angels of light. We deal
Mhm.
with holy fire, and we deal with the sword of truth. And I think radical experiences cause for radical responses. So, from my perspective, it's important to really get into intercellular terrain modification and purification, because the parasites are very intelligent and they want to survive just like we
Mm-hmm.
do. Even, we all have parasites. They're just to varying degrees. Some of us have obviously an infestation, some of us have them under control. But I wouldn't be surprised if the parasites wasn't listening to this live with us. Like what
No,
these
they up here.
right now, they trying to get rid of us, y'all. Y'all hear this shit? They think they slick. They think they more powerful than us. We got something for them. This they cocky like that. So we have to be able to really outslick them and outperform their tactics to stay alive and stay in the body, because they are a living entity that wants to survive. Um,
Mm.
when we take these herbs and these detoxes and a lot of these things that are promoted as the typical parasite cleansing protocols, they are able to mutate and adjust to the intensity of that. And when they feel threatened, they will burrow themselves deeper into your cells and your tissue and your body to hide. Just like if we were experiencing, like, let's say, a volcano or a hurricane or something like that, we know how to hunker down. The parasites will hunker down inside of your body when you start trying to flush them out. But um, a lot of these herbs, they're not as effective as they used to be, and there's going to take a higher level of alchemy in order to address a lot of these parasites, because they have evolved with the intelligence of the human species that have figured out different ways to try to combat these things. But one thing that I found is effective far beyond the stretch and the reach, and will always outrank and outsmart these parasites, is the stem cells and the mitochondrial DNA, because it holds the original blueprint of your genetic code. And these are like the generals of the military of the immune system. And when they come and step out and pull rank to beef up the T cells that are getting beat up, because these parasites also like to steal all of the currency, the ATP in the body, or the APT, whichever the term is. But it's a term.
ATP, you had it right.
Okay, yes. So that's energetic currency for the cells to be able to maneuver and do whatever they need to do. These parasites are like really, armed and dangerous. They use the heavy metals in your body to armor up, and then they wait at the door of your consumption to take the best of whatever, the fat of the land is coming through your consumption, to use to wage war against you. And then your cells and your T cells and all of these other aspects of your immune system in your body show up broke to the fight. This is
Mm.
how they're able to take advantage. So we have to deworm, and not only that, activate the mitochondrial cells and the what you call stem cells, because when the stem cells come out of the bone marrow, they go head hunting, and they got that holy fire in them, and then they go inside the cell and they do a roll call, and they're like, all right, let's see who's in the building. All the family step to the left, and then everybody in the light gonna step to the left. The parasites like to hide in the dark, but when they flash the light and they see all the parasites there, like, we don't recognize you. You're not a part of the original genetic code. What are you doing? Get out of here. So they beat them up and they kick them out from inside of the cell, playing possum, trying to hijack and pretend to be part. They can't do that with these higher ranking aspects of your genetic code. But the herbs are not going to, they don't have the rank and the energetic prowess to be able to go inside the cell and pull rank like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but now that they have kicked the parasites outside of the inside of the cell, the the herbal detoxes and the other type of binders can come in and flush these parasites out the body, because it's like they went from the VIP section to the general admission, and they got knocked head now, and they're weak. I hope this painted a picture, but this is how I see it working in the body.
Oh man.
That's all wise, right, and exact. And salute to you for that one. And just to make sure that the family is following, I had posed a question: Are parasites capable of editing your genetics? And I just had a little bit here because she brought up something super duper important, and I don't want anybody to miss it. Autoimmune disease, where the body starts attacking itself. It doesn't recognize the hardware. Hey, this is for a Mac, and you got an Android. No, I got a Mac. And the hardware doesn't, something inside it is not reading. So let's just go over this real quick, and then I'll see what the other sisters have to say. Parasites eat blood and cause fatigue like anemia. This is from uptodate.com in an article titled Anemia Caused by Low Iron in Adults Beyond the Basics. It reads, iron deficiency anemia is a type of anemia that occurs when there is not enough iron to make the hemoglobin in the red blood cells. This is to AI. AI said, yeah, parasites can cause high blood pressure, heart attacks, and eat blood tissue. These are vampires. These are really parasites. Parasitic infections can cause heart inflammation, pulmonary hypertension, and anemia. Crumb, I don't got none of that. I don't got, but you got anemia, don't you? Yeah, I got anemia. Why you got anemia? It runs in the family. No, it doesn't. This one at the bottom, babesiosis. It says the parasitic infection that causes cardiac complications like congestive heart failure, arrhythmia, and something. No, that wasn't the one I wanted to point out to you. Let me just move on. Anemia. Parasites can eat red blood cells and cause blood loss through the stool, which can lead to iron deficiency anemia. Other symptoms: fever, headache, enlarged lymph nodes, pallor, muscle pain, difficulty breathing, swelling, abdominal and chest pain. You've got this, or that. Oh no, I just got a fever. No, that's a parasite. I just got I'm just sore right now. No, that's actually the symptoms of a parasite. All of these symptoms are the parasitic symptoms, but you didn't even know it. I think last one. These parasites, they cause autoimmune deficiency. They edit the genes and cause the system to attack itself. Yes, parasites can cause hair loss, including alopecia, a type of autoimmune disease. This is what the archangel was trying to tell you. Parasites in the gut can disrupt the balance of the gut biome, a microbiome, which can lead to hair loss. Oh, it just runs in my family. I got the same thing that Will Smith wife got. No, that's a parasite. It's editing your genes. I think that was the last one. Yeah, I yield the
I
floor.
want to drop a bomb on you too, man, because this is something that we all know, that to every negative there's always a positive, because it's a universal law and balance. So the negative aspect of gene editing, which is the parasites doing their bidding, it's just like AI, right? We have artificial intelligence and then we have ancestral intelligence, right? And everybody gets to make their choice. So while the parasites have this form of gene editing that they do, or even what you call CRISPR in epigenetics, that may be considered negative to those who are really looking to tap into their genetics from a sovereign standpoint. We have solar gene editing, and nothing burns a parasite quicker than the sun. Because as we just noticed with the conversation we had, and we all know the parasites are bloodsuckers. And what do vampires hate the most? They always show you in the video they get burnt up quick by the sun.
And garlic.
Exactly. So we have to expose our body to more sunlight at a more intense level in order for the sun to come in and assist our genetics to re-edit themselves back to not only the original code, but even higher codes than what the light body was producing in order to project the physical body. And this is something that I found was really interesting. One day I was sitting deep in meditation and I was asking, like, what is this? How does this work? Like, who am I in connection to the divine, from my physical to my non-physical to my spiritual and soul? and everything. And I was shown like a bullseye, and this bullseye was like showing me like the multi-dimensional body laid out in connection to source, and the outer band was the physical body, and that physical body was like the furthest from source in a
Mm.
sense of its existence, and how it's projected. And then the next inner band was the light body, which you know was pretty much like the bridge between the spirit realm, the non-physical, and the physical. But the light body, aka the rainbow body, is what projects the physical body. How do we know that? Because it's the endocrine system that is the conductor of the light body. How do we know that? Because the endocrine system and the hormonal system is pretty much projecting not only the third eye, which is our light body, but the physical pineal gland, because the endocrine system runs the glandular system. So that's how we know the light body is the second gate, and it projects the physical body because it's through the glands and the light body that the physical body shows up in the way that it does.
Mm.
Now, where does the physical body get its blueprint from?
Oh, she went up. Parasites ain't like that.
She giving out too much, right?
They
She
they
giving
ain't
out
like
too much
that.
information.
Happened then. They were like, nah. She dropping too many gems. They ain't like
Okay.
it. But she done dropped so
Um,
many gems. I had to take some notes. I had to write. Oh, there
Oh
she go.
man, am I on, guys?
And parasites won't fill in that one.
Am I
Okay,
back?
you're
you
here.
back. Okay. Um, I was going to ask if you could, of course, finish your thought, and then I'll get to the other ladies. And then we've got some questions. We got a good bit of questions in the. Mm, okay. All right. So just a little bit of technical difficulty on her side, but I totally understand it does happen at times. We're going to be patient, of course, and let her get back. But in the meantime, in between time, uh, good Queen Mother Matriarch, I know we've said a lot. So, it's not really fair for me to ask you any one particular question, but just in general, what say ye?
Uh, Everything that has been said is relevant, from the air that is around us, surrounding us, that is holding parasites that can attach to our skin, which is our largest organ, and can absorb them that way. I saw someone was mentioning the chemtrails, parasites, worms, nanotechnology, uh, changing our DNA to get rid of us, and it's not happening. We're still here. I see the matriarch is back. I digress so she can finish her thought because I was all in.
I'm sorry, people blowing me up trying to get these, you know, orders in and stuff, but
Them parasites, man.
I hope that, yeah, they trying to disrupt, but we good. Um so I was just saying how the second inner band, which is a light body, gets its stream from the oversoul. And they show you this in movies where they show you like this big mothership, and then a little ship comes out of that mothership, and then a person comes out of that little ship. That's the connection in my eyes between the oversoul, the light body, and the physical body.
Mm.
These are just different bodies, and there's more. It's a more complex system than that, but this is just like a simplified version and explanation of that. And then the middle dot, the bindu, that's source. You can put a sun in between the two, because our soul feeds off solar energy, which is why they say some people don't have a soul. I'm not sure how complex or deep that gets, but the body is of the mother, which is the flesh of the earth. That's why they call Earth Mother Gaia, or Mother Tiamat, or whatever you want to call. But we know it's a feminine principle, and the body is made of that. the soul is light and is made of solar energy, which comes from the Father, the most masculine primordial force, which is the Ra, the Father, the Son.
Mm-hmm.
So we're able to utilize that solar energy to bring in light in order for solar gene editing to take place, in order for these parasites to not even be able to withstand the flame, the holy flame, and the heat and the light, because they don't um, have the capacity to vibrate high enough to feed in that space and environment. So in order for us to be able to eradicate them at a more intense level through solar gene editing, by allowing the sun to tell, like it tells everything on the planet what to do, tell our genes what to do at a higher velocity, also vibrate out of the density that allows the parasites to see us enough to latch on to us. Ashe.
Ashe.
You're gonna drop so many gems. I had to write it down because I don't want to forget. Like, yeah. Good thing.
Bree, I know you have a lot to say, and we're on the edge of our seats to hear it. Please share your thoughts, and then we'll get to the Q&A.
Okay, so she mentioned, Sister Ariel mentioned so many things that was like, oh, I want to raise my hand like I was in class. But she mentioned hardware, how your body mimics that of the motherboard, and oh, it might have been you. Your body mimics that of the motherboard. So whenever it's time for you to update your software, your body is hit with a crash, and that crash is disease or a virus. So back in the day, we used to always get the notification, Norton's virus, upload, reload. That is your body's immune system trying to restore itself, and that's all that the jab phase was about. Um, I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as the whole entire Earth plane needing a detox, a reset. It was a master reset. So some of us made it and some of us didn't make it. Some of us felt susceptible to other parasites, and some of us trusted our ancient wisdom that was embedded in us. And then when it comes to autoimmune disease, that's how I started my journey. I was diagnosed with lupus at 15 years old. You text, if I do blood work right now, it's not going to show up. They'll say, oh well, it must be rheumatoid arthritis. How's your arthritis? I'm like, don't have it. But you could try to write it down and make it seem like I got it, because they just want to label you with something. And deeper, as I did more research, I don't know if y'all are familiar with like the Greek story Romulus and Remus. It was a story of wolf dog, and the Latin word of lupus literally means wolf. So then I started to go a little bit deeper, and I did this, like, I would say like 50-60 person survey on my own, nothing like in a world book of Guinness or anything like that. I pretty much asked those who I knew or those from social media, if they were ever diagnosed with lupus, did you have a dog in your house? Everybody but like 3 or 4 people had a dog in their house. So it takes me back to when I was 14 and I got a dog. 15 diagnosed with lupus. I'm making a correlation with lupus being parasitic, and it's coming from pets. It is a blood parasite that comes from pets. Hence the Latin word lupita, lupus, wolf dog. It makes your immune system attack itself. This is the only disease that I've seen where if you take something like vitamin C or echinacea, it makes it worse. So to my knowledge, if you ask Westerners where it comes from, they don't know. It's the mystery disease. Your blood is acidic. You need a blood purifier. And the only way that I was able to, I would say, we can't use the word cure, but we could say reverse those symptoms, was, for one, it started in the mind. So I had to get the parasites out of my mind. I kept saying everybody that I knew that had lupus died. I'm not dying. I can't die. So I tricked my mind. I started doing what Sister Ariel said, going in the sun, going in a sauna when it was not that much sun outside. Um, I starved the body. So some of this may be seen as dangerous, but I deprived myself of so much food that people was like, "Are you okay? Is it drugs? You look sick?" I was sick before when y'all was telling me that I look good, but that was the steroids. So, um, the body attacks the skin, the body attacks the joints, it attacks the kidneys, and that's what Nick Cannon had. Pretty much a parasite called called lupus nephritis. That takes you back to the endocrine system. Um, but it all starts with all is mind. It all starts with the mind and being determined that you're not gonna live a certain way. You're gonna reverse these symptoms. You're gonna live in balance. And it takes me back to someone said something about Jada Jada Pinkett having alopecia.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Jada Pinkett having alopecia, and also male pattern baldness is a parasite. And then when I think about when you said Jada Pinkett, what went off in my mind was somebody saying that she was hypersexual. Her husband, Will Smith, said that he could barely keep up.
I,
Parasitic.
I think it's interesting that you point that out because in I don't know if it's her autobiography or maybe just a tell-all magazine or just a Netflix becoming Jada. I don't know,
Mhm.
but in some whatever Jada had came out and said she started touching herself in a way to please herself at a tender age, something like 6 or 5 or just some ridiculously young, like, wow, who does that at that particular age?
Parasite.
So there you go.
Yeah, parasites will have you thinking that you have a high libido, and it's them. They're chasing a fix. They're chasing a feeling. Um, but we know that quality sperm and just like making a quality human and a quality baby requires at least 21 days of abstinence. So if the man is constantly ejaculating, the life force is not that potent. So that's when you come out with children with birth defects and children with autism and children with ADHD. Because for one, if you have someone that's addicted to porn, that's addicted to ejaculation and addicted to releasing, then your kidneys are out of balance. You're already hype. You're not in a state of rest and not in a state of calmness. The sister said something about the endocrine system and it being a light energy. And the reason that what sparked in my mind is like, okay, the endocrine system, it takes me to the kidneys, the liver, the adrenals, um, and that is all heat energy. Light and heat go hand in hand, and that does trigger the thyroid, the lymph nodes, the pituitary gland that sits in the brain. All of that is interconnected to the kidneys, the liver. So once you cleanse the colon, then you move up into the kidney and the liver. Some people say, what can I do to lose weight? Because they're just thinking it's like a heaviness or something you can just rid yourself of when it's all parasitic. And we touched on anemia a bit. Anemia is a blood parasite. I do know that because anemia have you doing crazy stuff. You'll get diagnosed with a disease called pica. Pica have you eating dirt, cornstarch, especially in pregnancy. When the baby is taking enough for it to thrive, but leaving the mom with crumbs. You have people being attracted to kerosene and gas because your body is trying to compensate for your ferritin levels being low. And sometimes,
I,
I'm sorry.
I, my apologies, not to cut your wisdom. I seen somebody who had pica who was eating plastic, like from Walmart, the Walmart bags that they put your food in. He had pica, and it had caused him to eat those.
And they'll eat baby powder, whatever it takes to get that fix. And that's not them, that's the parasites on the brain. That's the parasites within the blood. And I think somebody in the chat has said, could sickle cell also be considered a parasite? Of course, sickle cell, sarcoidosis, MS, lupus, um, any of those autoimmune diseases, they're like sisters and brothers. They all can. And all of those are parasitic. Whether you got it from your mom, some people carry a parasitic trait. Some people, um, will inherit that by their environment. And it takes me to it's not even funny, but it's funny. You know how like if you go to the projects now, it's 2025, and somebody's house is infested with roaches, let's say. Um, they'll say these roaches are different. They're not scared no more. They come out in the daytime. It's like that. So I read about a study where the poop that the roaches emit, the little brown stuff you see in the crevice and the corners, or in the microwave or wherever they lay their eggs, it causes asthma, it causes eczema, it causes allergies. And most children that grow up in project developments, they have these symptoms, and later on it affects their cognitive thinking, and it affects their decision making. So that's why they have the most murders, they have the most robbing. It's not them, it's the parasites from the roaches that are pooping in their house.
Wow. Okay. Mic drop on that one. Let's go to Q&A if that's okay. I know we've got tons and tons more, and we've already blasted through an hour, but let's just see, can we get some of these other questions? I got my sister in here. She's one of the matriarchs of the channel, Truth Be Told by
Mhm.
Wanda. And she says, and or ask rather, can a mother pass the parasite down to her child? Let's start with Sharice first. If you wanted to, I'll put you on a hot seat, or did you want Archangel to start first? Who would like to?
I don't mind stepping in here, but if Archangel wants to go, I have no problem with that. I'm going to say yes, that it can be passed down, even, or that would be the simple answer. Yes, it can be passed down, even before the mother become, as the matriarch said earlier, before the mother becomes with child, it can be passed. Even as stated earlier, with the sperm, if the sperm is not healthy and that's being given to the womb, the parasites in that sperm will also affect the child.
Mhm.
And then therefore there's a combination of parasites affecting the child. If you have an alcoholic father
Mhm.
uh, who has who is just drinking and drinking and drinking, and then now he is emitting into this womb,
Mhm.
those toxins are transferred into that being that comes into life. Whatever that mother was doing prior to her becoming pregnant, as you say, a 20, I say at least, I go for a 3 month detox before impregnating yourself, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to just a 21 day. But if the body is not prepared to carry a baby, any toxins that are in that mother are going to transfer into that child. Yes.
Mhm.
Ashe. Um, well, since I called you out, please, Archangel, can a mother pass the parasite down to her child?
Well, we know the Bible has a lot of esoteric wisdom in it, and the scripture says the sins of the mother and the father will be passed on to the child.
Seven
Ooh, amen.
seven
So
generations.
so parasites can live 7 generations if that's the case, or even longer if we don't eradicate that. And this is what shows up as the generational curses.
Mhm.
Because, like she said, parasites are demons. Like the Empress said, parasites are demons. So if we're looking at demons being a byproduct of a generational curse, then that's what that is.
Mhm.
I read my case.
Bree.
You say the womb again? Let me stop. Okay, so the can a mother pass the parasite down to her child? Okay. Now we can talk about before she conceives. Like Sister Ariel said, it can be passed down 7 generations, and you know the number 7 is very prominent. We got the 7 chakras, we got the 7 archangels, we have the 7 candlesticks. Everything is 7. Everything is 7. We got we have parasites being passed down from the dad to the mom in the womb. We have the way of thinking being parasitic, being passed down as a lifestyle through raising a child. We have parasites being passed down through STDs if the mother has contracted parasitic material like chlamydia in the womb, and then now she's taking an antibiotic. It never really goes away, not while she's pregnant, because you can't detox while you're pregnant. You have parasites being passed down through other imbalances called group B strep, which is a type of I would say streptococcus that you're tested for around like 37 weeks gestation, where the doctors will take a swab and swab from the vagina to the anal cavity to test to see if it's safe for the mother to have a vaginal birth, and that can cause blindness within the child. A lot of people have GBS in their intestines, but it's only harmful to newborns. You have protozoas being transferred to the baby from the mom through the environment, um, through maybe like Glade plugins and fragrances from washing the baby's clothes, and also breastfeeding. You have parasites being passed down from the mother through what she consumes, even down to water, food. If we have a whole lot of cat lovers, you have toxoplasma being passed down, whereas the adult body can fight it off, but the child's body can't. You have ancestral parasites being passed down, as you mentioned, generational curses. Um, it's deep. It go deep. So yes, the answer is yes. Can a mother pass down parasites? If mother can pass down parasites physically, mentally, she can pass it down through lifestyle. She can pass it down through uh, contracting another parasite from another person, or she can create a new parasite by developing other, I would say, imbalances or bad habits.
Um, let's let's get one more question, and then we'll move on in the PowerPoint. I wanted to touch on pets, and if we have time, Toxoplasma gondii. But CJ asks, is it safe or okay to parasite cleanse for children?
Mhm.
Um, let's start with Archangel this time, please.
Definitely. Would highly recommend, and like I said, I like to kind of use other cultures outside of the West in order to really see what's going on, because we're kind of behind some enemy lines here, so to say, in a sense. So what we're dealing with isn't necessarily the standard on how we should be doing things, but in the East, they start them very young, like 2, 3 years old. They're giving them the parasite uh, cleanses, which are not parasite cleanses. They're doing dewormers. And
Mhm.
even in the lingo over here in the West, we don't have these type of conversations in terms of how we approach parasite eradication. It's, oh, let's do a parasite cleanse. Let's take clove, walnut hulls, and wormwood, and maybe a few other things in there, but they're not really getting to like the deeper stuff that's just gonna completely deworm the body from head to toe. And these things can be added, but you definitely want to support the liver through that process, so that when you're processing this load out of your body, it doesn't tax the organs too much, and you also build your organs back up after you remove the parasites, because they have taken a lot from your organs. They've ate off of your organs and ate off of a lot of your cells, so they need to be rebuilt after you not only kill the parasites off, but use a heavy advanced binders to push and purge them out of the body, but then also just go in and then do, you know, plasma regeneration, which is what I specialize in.
Mhm.
Bree, please.
Is it safe or okay to parasite cleanse for children? Yes, but you would do it in a less harsher way, a less harsh way. So uh, you might do something like one of my elders introduced me to turpentine a few years back, and we would put like 1/4 teaspoon of turpentine into like, I would say, 2 ounces of juice, or you can balance it out with castor oil as well to dilute it. And what that does is the parasites, once the turpentine is ingested in your, it's consumed in your body, uh, the parasites run and chase the sugar, and then they get blasted by the turpentine. You have milder parasite cleanses like chamomile flower powder. You have garlic that you can just put in the child's food. You have cayenne pepper. So it's things that you can do like a parasite cleanse and not be doing a whole full colon and intestinal detox for your child. It becomes a way of life. Putting garlic and everything, parasite's not gonna want to live there. Um, and then I know we mentioned something about the herbs not being as potent as they used to be. That's because the soil is also tainted. If we get in our soil from here, and our neighbor has 13 pit bulls next door, that's gonna go into like the Toxoplasma gondii, and whatever happens on that land is funneling through to my soil as well. If I'm putting my herbs and plants straight in the ground. Um, so yeah, sometimes you have to do something a little stronger. DNA rewiring is something called infoceuticals, which is energized charged water. We can get into that a little bit deeper. But infoceuticals, in conjunction with the herbs, you have colloidal silver that is safe for children. We know that gold and silver are elements that our body are already made of. You have shilajit. You have activated charcoal you can take at a certain age or a certain potency. And yeah, parasite cleanse are safe for children. You can do them externally as well. You can do baking soda in the bathtub. Just make sure it's aluminum free to pull out the toxins. You can do essential oils. It doesn't have to be a full on colon and intestinal cleanse.
Excellent. I'm gonna jump to you in 2 seconds. Let me share screen and see if I can say something crazy. And I want the family, please, 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 before I share screen, press 000 if before I say this, you're going to take this with a grain of salt. Anybody under the sound of my voice, before I share screen, please and thank you in advance. Press 000 if you're going to take me with a grain of salt. And I'm asking you, please take me with a grain of salt before I share screen. So now, this is what my grandma used to say. And I used to be like, oh, grandma, you're confused and you probably don't remember that right. And I would just say all types of stuff because it was so crazy to me. So this is me talking to Skynet, Chat GPT, whatever. And so I say simply, did you hear that the elders used to take a spoonful of kerosene? They would give it to the babies when the babies were sick. Kerosene. I'm not talking about something. Oh no, they're not talking about the kerosene. We're talking about, the same kerosene today is they would give it to the babies. Grandma said when she was sick, her grandma would give her a spoonful of kerosene. I said, Grandma, you got to be crazy. You're confused. You don't remember what was happening. You were young at the time. I was just sure she was wrong. So actually, let me just read you what Skynet says, and then I'll pass the mic to Queen Mother Goddess Empress Sharice. It says, "Yep, I've heard those stories. In some communities, Black communities, elders used harsh household substances like kerosene, check, turpentine, check, amongst other things. I remember in some situations they'll put a cap full of bleach in the bath water, just a cap full, a whole bath. When we were kids, we take like a bath. And but she put a cap full of bleach, maybe a cap full of iodine, or just maybe probably a lot of iodine, actually. All types of stuff that we don't do anymore. I digress. As old time folk remedies for things like parasites, listen, look, there is nothing above that. There's nothing above that. To get the right answer, you got to ask the right question. What were they giving the babies? For parasites, they gave the babies kerosene, and they gave the babies kerosene with a spoonful of sugar. The parasites will go eat the sugar, and that kerosene will tear them up. They said, my grandma, this is grandma talking. Grandma said it'll put you down for the night. Wake up the morning like a spring chicken. Her words, not mine. Queen Mother Goddess Empress Sharice, CJ says, is it safe or okay to parasite cleanse for children? Of course, we're taking what I said with a grain of salt. What say ye?
I'm proud to be as old as I am because I still have those remedies that to this day still work. Yes, I use with my children dandelion root tea, um, a little bit of castor oil in the navel. Um, as the empresses have prior said, baking soda, um, uh, baking soda with a little bit of vinegar. Um, all of these remedies that are from the old school, the cayenne pepper, cooking, just it's a lifestyle, it's a way of life. So it no longer becomes, oh, I'm detoxing right now. It's a constant all the time so that the parasites don't want to be in an environment that is full of all of the things that they don't like. The garlic and the onions and a little bit of apple cider vinegar, not just the white vinegar. And yes, we put bleach in our bathtubs, a cap full. Sometimes my grandmother would put a little bit more. If she felt like we was a little bit too dirty and needed a little bit more cleaning, she a little bit more. Okay. All of we that is what we need to get back to so that we can clean our children out and be already in the mindset of a natural environment that's already um, balanced acidic wise so that these parasites and toxins don't have any room to breathe or move. I think the youngest child I've ever detoxed was maybe 2 years old. But again, like I said, that was with the dandelion root tea. A lot of people don't use that. Um, Fire water is what my grandfather used to call it. And I I suppose that would be kerosene in a sense because it would start a car back then. You could start a car with it. But yeah, he would give us a teaspoon of this fire water that my uncles made in. Now I'm really talking too much, but yes, and with a little bit of sugar, even with the castor oil, taking a tablespoon of it and waking up the next morning, and everything that was in you that wasn't supposed to be there is now out, and you moving through the day with no problem. So the simple answer would be yes, you can detox a child, and I would suggest starting them on the pattern of already having the body that's already able to be healthy enough to not have parasites from the start. And again, oh, my apologies. Like the sister was saying before, the soil. And yes, we're growing our own food, but what soil are we growing it in? And is that soil a good soil? Is it, even with the chemicals that are coming down, are we able to keep those chemicals from damaging the soil that we're trying to regrow our food in? back to what Archangel was saying. You know, it's everywhere. Again, with what Bree was saying, it's everywhere. So everybody has the same concept, but we got to get back to the old ways so that we can, regenerate and rejuvenate our bodies back to where we're supposed to be at. My apologies. I digress.
How do you safely deworm while breastfeeding, or how do you deworm then start breastfeeding again after the deworming process?
Sorry about that. I was talking, but my mic had muted. Let's do the panel one more question, and then we'll close out. I think we're not going to have time after this one. If we do, we'll go into the pet store and Toxoplasma gondii. But I think this will probably take up the rest of the last 30 minutes. Yeah, Divine Didi, shout out to her. I see you. I love you. I appreciate you. She says, and just to echo, Brianka, thank you so much for reading that one. Yeah, how do you safely deworm while breastfeeding? Or how do you deworm, then start breastfeeding again after the deworming process?
Okay. Peace, Dee Dee. Okay, how do you safely deworm while breastfeeding? So, if you deworm while breastfeeding, the parasites and the parasitic material will come out through the breast milk, and then you will poison your child. So, in order to deworm while breastfeeding, you will have to pump and dump. So it's not a such thing as doing a harsh deworm or a harsh detox to cleanse your blood and give that same milk to your baby, because then essentially your baby will be consuming that parasitic milk. So what you could do is you can do a mild cleanse that will be safe for you and the baby, which will be eating fruits and vegetables and um, aloe. Aloe is good. Aloe water. They have it in the glass, the Lakewood jars. Externally, aloe. Um, diatomaceous earth. You can do that. You can do dandelion root. You can do cayenne pepper. It will have to be in a way that is within the food, but it's not necessarily a full on like a 21-day colon and intestinal cleanse. If you wanted to stop breastfeeding while you deworm, let's say for 21 days, because that's typically what we do, and then start back breastfeeding the baby, you will have to stop breastfeeding the baby for 21 days, do a hard cleanse, but as you're detoxing, you're gonna have to continue to pump because the body would think that your baby no longer needs the milk, and then your milk would dry up. So you're gonna pump and dump, pump and dump. And I'm not saying waste the milk, but I'm not saying give your baby that milk either, because if you don't want it within your body, then why would you feed it to your child? So you can put it in the soil because the soil will neutralize it. You can put it in a plant. I wouldn't even make, how people make like body butters and baby balms with it. I wouldn't make anything with that milk because that milk is toxic. So that's why they say when you're breastfeeding, it's like you're pregnant again. So essentially, you're pregnant for another 2 years. So we like to breastfeed our babies for at least 2 years. So yeah, you want to safely deworm, you will need a backup plan for your child. As far as milk consumption, that can be donor milk. That can be if the baby is 7 months or older, you can do a hemp milk replacement with hemp seeds blended up with water, dates, sea moss, bladderwrack, burdock root, only if the child is over the age of 7 months. If the child is under the age of 7 months, there's really no plant milk. I don't care what they're telling y'all. There's no plant milk substitute that you can give your child that will help with the brain development. It will be missing DHA, it will be missing vitamin B, and most of that is sugar based, especially if you're not making it yourself. For those who are non vegan and don't really care about consuming animal product, the closest thing to breast milk would be goat milk. But then there's those parasites because, like, what goat, what state was the goat in when she was lactating, or you know. So the answer is stop breastfeeding for 21 days and then start back. And oh, sister Ariel said something about remineralizing. So we often think detox, 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 but if we're not putting those minerals back, it will be well, and those parasites thrive off of nutrient deficiencies. So what you want to do is make sure that after you detox, you're putting minerals back into your body. You can't just continue to strip and strip. I know people that have been detoxing for 3 years straight, but you're not remineralizing, and you can see it. You can see it on them. Their skin is saggy. They look gray. They might feel good, but they're not looking good. And then it becomes like, to me, it becomes culty. Uh, it becomes like a disorder. You get addicted to stripping. That's parasitic.
Teach. Um, Archangel, uh, how do you safely deworm while breastfeeding? Or how do you deworm then start breastfeeding again after the process?
I think the matriarch Bree spoke and touched on a lot of great things in terms of that topic, and I definitely agree with a lot of her sentiments. The only thing I would definitely add is that I would, because I kind of have somewhat of a Malcolm X mentality when it comes to anything that I need to get done in life by any means necessary. So if I know I really want to detox and do a deep deworming while breastfeeding, I'm going to create a nice supply of milk while I'm gonna go through that process to store. And then on top of that, I will also have different milk alchemies that I can create for my child if I do run out of that while I'm going through my deworming process. So, for example, have different nuts available that you can make that milk from, add different supplements to those nut milks to enrich it. And be able to feed that baby those milks. Do not go to the grocery stores and these places that are selling these milks for or infamils and all of these things. Those are things that are made to destroy the baby's gut biome and put parasites and all that stuff in the baby's body. That's already been studied and proven. But create your own milk from home if you run out of your own milk while you're going through your deworming process. And then as you're deworming, pump and dump, like Bree said, once you are going through that process, and you'll know when your body's to the point where it's ready. But this is why I promote biogenetic sovereignty, because the body is a supercomputer. We understand that the body is the most advanced supercomputer on the planet. So it should be able to communicate with you on multiple levels, on all levels, um, in a very intricate way to allow you to know where you're at in the timeline and whatever processes that you're going to and through and what needs to be done, and being able to have a feedback loop between your consciousness and your vessel in order to know, is it safe, where am I at, or where am I, so that's a part of that. Now when you're going through your deworming process, you take your time and you really do whatever it is you need to do. You don't need to go too heavy or too hard. But once you're done deworming, then now, yes, go ahead and start adding back certain nutrients and supplements like chlorella, spirulina, astaxanthin, a lot of gentle, um, you know, cleansing formulas that will not only remineralize and reneutralize the body, but also bind a lot of that parasitic die off and push a lot of that stuff out, while also bringing back the nutrients and the minerals in the body, and then start to slowly reintroduce that to the baby after you go through the phases of the milk that you set aside while you were going through your deworming process, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Um, all wise, right, and exact as usual. Um, Queen Mother, would you like to add anything to that?
I'm not going to repeat what the two matriarchs have already stated about how to deworm and get through that process. I will add that one remedy that is old school is giving the baby cane syrup water or maple syrup water to maintain the minerals and nutrients needed during the detox when you're not get when you're dumping, so to speak. And then again, like they said, just slowly reintroducing all of the different minerals and nutrients that are necessary for regeneration. That's pretty much all there that I could add to what has already been said. Just the maple syrup water.
And you always add value without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt or contradiction. Um, let me, if we could switch gears just a little bit. I wanted to go into the pets. I thought Bree had brought it up with the lupus, which was just mind-boggling and mind-blowing. And it, let's just be honest, it makes perfect sense. You know, and I just wanted to add value to that. Um, So the prevalence, and this is from the National Institute of Health, National Institute of Health, NIH.gov. And according to them, they say, um, I can't see it on that screen that you guys are on. I got to go to my other screen. Okay, prevalence of parasitic infections and associations with dot dot dot. Of course, you're going to see it's animals, particularly in this case, cats. Parasitic infections during pregnancy, in particular, have been associated with increased risk of complications and adverse outcomes in low resource communities or whatever the case may be. And the reason they say that is because, as you can see from these pictures, it's going to be based on the quote unquote outside cat, um, if ever there was such a thing. And I assume some people, they have cats that just literally don't go outside. So I don't want to, you know, uh, say that that's outside of the scope of the possibilities. People do have cats that just really don't go outside. But of the ones, like, even when I was growing up, we had a cat, and even if we didn't want it to go outside, it just somehow managed to get outside. It would come back, but whatever the case may be. Um, so these cats would hunt. They'll get these mice, these rodents, whatever, and the rodents would be infected, and the cats would bring the scat within the kitty litter box where the remains of the rodent or whatever it was the cat consumed, would be in the litter box. And anybody, let's just be, anybody touching that is at risk. But in particular, children at a tender age, elders at a tender age, and women who are with child are going to be in a particularly higher risk for complications based on uh, the cats that are going in and out the house, and interacting with who knows what in the neighborhood, the wild, or whatever. So this is Skynet says, yeah, some parasites can infect and harm embryos. Parasites can infect embryos and eggs in the placenta or in the womb. In the placenta, in particular, placental parasites can infect pregnant women and lead to fetal complications like growth, problems with growth, and other situations. Let me, and then in the womb at the very bottom, I can't see on that one. Let me go to mine. It says toxoplasmosis is a parasite that can be transmitted from a pregnant woman to her fetus, especially especially in the third trimester. Um, and this is where I'll touch on these one or two things and I'll pass the mic. Yes, tapeworm eggs can cause tubio pregnancy. This rare condition, it's super rare, but basically it's where the worm migrates from the genital area to the fallopian tube. And this is basically how it happens. There's a 1, 2, 3, 5 step situation, and it says it leaves the anal and goes over to the vaginal. Um, and this is what we call a wandering worm. This is what we call a wandering worm. I'm sorry. This is the slide I meant to show you. I was reading from. Please forgive me. But we're dealing with wandering worms. So when you go to the hospital, I don't care if you're the candy striper girl who's selling whatever, the person who's greeting the people, the elders, or you're the doctor at the highest level getting paid in the hospital. You have to go through a federal situation where you listen to a or watch a 1 hour orientation video to even be in the hospital. This is under federal mandate. So in this video, to tell you that the the main three infections that leave the hospital is called a HAI, hospital acquired infection. I think the number one is, don't get me to lying. It's number one. I think is UTI. You'll tell go in there with a headache, leave with a UTI. That's really what's going to happen. Um, and number two is Mercer. We all know about Mercer. Number three is C. diff. So now C. diff, if anybody knows about C. diff, C. diff is coming from a wandering worm. Oh, this never happens, Crumb. Hold on. For those people who say this never happens, this is the number three most acquired infection in the hospital. And basically, let's just break this down. Crown, what you talking about? Let's just break it down. You go to this hospital, the doctor goes to use the bathroom, and let's keep it classy, let's keep it cute. The doctor does a number two. Let's not go further than that. They do the number two, and they don't wash their hands. This is where C. diff is coming from. This thing is wandering out of the whatever in the hospitals. And that's the issue. And let me just say this little anecdotal story, and then we can kind of go into, the pets, because these worms are going to wander from out of out of the pets, and the children who are going to be on the floor are going to be the most vulnerable to these wandering worms. In the hospital, you're going to have them, but they're going to be in the home through the pets, and the children are most vulnerable because the children are most likely to crawl. You and I were standing up. We don't necessarily lay down on the floor, whatever the case may be. The children are going to do more of those things, but we're going to see it in the hospital. So I was talking to my grandma. I don't want to say my grandma. I was talking to this elder lady. I guess the cat's out the bag. Grandma was in a hospital, and the doctor walked in, and I said, "Wash your hands." The doctor says, "Oh, yeah, I washed my hands before I got in here." I said, "Awesome. That's great. Wash your hands in front of me." Grandma was like, "You ain't got to get on him like that. This and this and that. He's here to help." Yeah, I know. I get you. Wash your hands, sir. And, he washed his hands or whatever. But I don't know how many people don't demand him to wash his hands in front of them. I don't care how many degrees you got. I know how y'all get down. Got $100,000 in the bank and it won't take a shower for a week. I'm not gonna go there, but let's let's just deal with this. The pets, the worms, blah blah blah. What say ye, Archangel?
Oh man, yeah, you got to be very careful with them animals. I was cracking up just hearing you talk about this because I remember when I moved into my new place. I had left the door open and two cats just barged in the door. And I was like, I have infatuation with cats, like to the degree of like Almira. So when they came in, I was like, oh my God, these babies just showed up and showed out. They just walked straight up in here. And I was just like, ready to just pet them. And they was just so friendly. But then when I looked a little closer, I'm like, oh, something seemed off. And their stomachs was so fat. And I'm like, wait, no, these things got Oh, hell no. Y'all got to get them out. So it's something that I definitely peeped over the years. It's like you got to be careful with these especially these alley cats, literally. They infested with parasites, and it'd be the friendliest ones because, like, the matriarch said earlier, these parasites is controlling the host now. So it's not even what you think you're seeing on the third dimensional level. It's the entity inside of it that's trying to jump the body, you know? So they hurried up and barged in when they saw that open door. And I just was like, wow, I can't do this. Nah, you got to protect your energy even on a level of seeing animals. That's a red flag because animals, especially cats, they don't really be that friendly like that. So yeah, that
To-
um
Totally agree. And I know that, Bree kind of opened us up on this conversation, and I wanted to add value to her point, but I wanted to pass the mic to Sharice. Please, what are your thoughts on this in terms of parasites in correlation with uh, pets? And I would put pets in the category of hygiene, and not saying anybody with pets has poor hygiene, but we understand that having a pet adds a significant layer of difficulty in terms of hygiene because they just, especially the ones that go outside, it's just problematic. Sharice, please.
As someone stated in the comments, no animals in the house, period, because their germs, I don't even like shoes in my house because the bottom of the shoes is from the outside, and that's going to bring the germs into my house. And as we all know, children are closest to the ground. Animals, germs, it's a terrible blend. But no, European, those from other continents have gotten into the habit of having their animals in their beds with them, in their chairs with them, in their. Just no, because as you stated, if they come in my house and they belly fat and full, and oh, somebody might think they pregnant. No, that's not pregnancy. That's another entity. Point blank and period. And it should not be crossing this barrier anyway. Those germs stay outside. Whatever's on the ground out there, let it stay outside.
Mm-hmm.
But inside the home, all of that is not acceptable. No pets in the home, period.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
My apologies for that. Little technical difficulty there. Please forgive me. I was going to say that we're rounding on a 2 hour mark, so I was going to close it out at this point, but I did want to give you an opportunity. Give us your last thoughts on the whole situation with the pets, which I know you kind of already did, but if you wanted to add anything, if not, after you speak, or at least close us out on parasites altogether, we will tell everybody where to find you at.
Okay, so I agree with the grand matriarch when she said no shoes in the house. Somebody was laughing at the Facebook status that I made. I'm like, you just walked all over the world and then you gonna bring them shoes in my house? Like, that's so disrespectful. We know that your house is your temple and so is your body. So why would you pollute my space? I think that's the most disrespectful thing that you can do, especially when you have minor children, you have small children that do be on the floor and things of that nature. And back to the placenta. Um, Back to the toxoplasma. As I am picking up birth clients, the first thing I ask them is, "Do you have a cat?" I used to be a cat lady. I used to love cats. I used to have like 20 something cats because this was parasitic too. Um, I would not 20 cats at one time, but I literally made a Instagram page that said Bull City Cat Farm. I was like the cat breeder, but it wasn't by choice. I would have a cat and the cat would have 5 kittens. I get rid of the 5 kittens and she bringing back 6 more. And then I'm like, when did you even get out of the house? Because I thought she was a house cat that wouldn't go outside, but obviously she was getting it from somebody. So one day I end up seeing the daddy. He was a little fat alley cat. So I'm like, oh, you the father. I see what's going on. Y'all parasites is calling each other. And if you see how they make, it's crazy. It looked like a fight. They just stand in the middle of the road and then they just screech at each other, stick for a second, and then boom, she pregnant. So I would have all these cats that I would have to get rid of because she kept getting pregnant. And one of the first things that I ask my clients is, do you have a cat? Yeah, but my cat is not this. You be ready to defend a cat, but you really don't know the effect of cats on babies. For one, the kitty litter is very toxic and it can cause your baby to die. Like, no BS. When those parasites cross the placenta is like a second kidney. It is responsible for filtering out the toxins from the mama's body to the baby. That is how your baby sustains life. That is how your baby gets blood, oxygen, and nutrients through the placenta. Some people think the placenta has an umbilical cord with just like one big tube and everything is coming through, but it looks like a three-prong thing that they used to put on the back of the TV with the yellow, the white, and the blue that you will hook up to hook up your video games. That's what the umbilical cord looks like when you cut it. So um I always tell my clients to be mindful of the cats because in some cases, once the baby is born, the cat becomes jealous, and that is a parasitic thing as well. That's a lower entity. That's a lower emotion. That's one of the seven evils. Jealousy. The cat sits over the baby and inhales the breath of the baby. They call it SIDS. They call it whatever. Some babies just die at a certain age and at infancy, but the baby is losing this breath because the cat is inhaling it. And we wonder why cats have 9 lives, but I digress.
Well, let me say this before I pass the mic because we basically have to close out at this point, and you guys got my blood pressure going with this cat thing. I was told, what do I know? But because the babies drink milk and the cats are attracted to the lactose, which is the sugar in milk, and the baby has lactose on its breath. When the baby's sleep and laying on its back, the cat will lay on the baby's chest and lick the baby's mouth. And this is just listen. Take it with a grain of salt. 000. But the cat would perch on the baby's chest and lick the baby's mouth, and this led to the whatever that people would say the cats was, and of course the weight of the cat on the baby would suffocate it. And but because the cat was seen licking the baby's mouth, it was interpreted that the cat would suck the air out of babies. They're like, don't get that cat away from my baby. Suck the air out of because we had cats growing up, just like yourself. And my cousins and them, they didn't fool with no cats, especially around no babies. Seriously. It was more superstition. I don't know. Maybe that's not superstition, but I've heard that growing up. I yield.
That's deep. I ain't never heard that one, but they give me something to think about because things be symbolic. So maybe they thought the cat was inhaling the breath of the baby, and the cat was really giving the baby parasites, and the baby's body wasn't strong enough to fight off the parasite. That makes sense too. That makes sense too.
Well, ladies, I really would love to continue this conversation, but I think 2 hours is really good, and maybe we can continue this another time. What say you?
Mm-hmm. I love a part two or any other topic that's dealing with health, healing, community, whatever you want, I'm on.
Absolutely.
I'm down. I think we missed really getting into etheric parasites and spiritual, and that's a whole conversation and topic in itself. That could definitely be a big aspect of the part two discussion if we wanted to stick to this particular topic. But yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely got to
So
the autism bill.
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. The majority of my students are autism students. So all game for the autism conversation.
Like I just dropped a book on autism inside of the neural nest, raising neurodivergent children, and it's for families raising children on the spectrum with sensory processing imbalances, ADHD, autism, because everybody don't subscribe to that name. But if you check out my information, you'll see that as well.
Well, on that note, Brianka, if you could tell us who you are and where we can find you at.
Holistic Mystic _ that's Mystic with a K. On Instagram, on Facebook, it'll be Brianka Ashanti, just how it's spelled here. Website, secretskeptinnature.co. There you'll find doula classes, books, handmade products, soaps, butter, tea blends, book, digital content, digital download, PDFs, events, challenges, you name it. If it's holistic, it's there.
Archangel, please. If you could, just tell us who you are, where we can find you at.
Okay, I'm the Archangel, the Angelic Alchemist. A lot of people also just know me as a sacred medicine woman. You can find me on Facebook at Angelic Alchemy. Anything hashtag Angelic Alchemy. Ariel Williams. That's the main place that I'm active, but my Instagram is Ariel _. I'm sorry, my Instagram is Angelic _ twice alchemy. My website is angelicalchemy.net. It's really just a landing page for right now. The way I really run my business is because of the fact that the medicines I work with are very sacred, and these are like really high-tech ancestral medicines. You want to just contact me directly. Definitely, if you can inbox me on Facebook, that's one of the best ways to get in contact with me right now. And I do typically recommend a consultation before we have any recommendations for you, because there's an order to working with certain indigenous medicines that are really ancestral and very unique. So that's pretty much where you can find me. And yeah, I hope I answered everything.
Queen Mother Matriarch, if you could, you're a woman who needs no introduction. We all know who you are, but for those who may be new, who you are and where we can find you at. Just unmute your mic.
My apologies. Okay. I'm Cherie Riel with Reed's Learning Street, obviously. And you can find me, obviously, on Chrome TV. Facebook is Reed's Learning Street, and Instagram is also Reed's Learning Street, as well as YouTube. It's Reed's Learning Street. You can also find me most of the time out in the streets instead of on any type of a platform, because I'm more of a boots on the ground type of individual, working with the children and our elders in the community that need assistance. Any questions, give us a call or give me a call. And I appreciate the time that you all have given to me to be up here with you.
Incredible, real people in real life. And that's the 313 right there. What up, though? Put some respect on her name. So with that said, I'm your humble brother, Crumb. You are now watching Crumb TV. Peace and love, family.
Peace.
You are now watching Crumb TV. You're watching Crumb TV.
This is Prema Asset in Los Angeles, Leimert Park, and you are now watching Crumb TV.
You are watching Crumb TV.
We're watching Crumb TV.
You are now watching Crumb TV. So subscribe.
I am the Grand Sheikess, Unity Temple number 80, Moore Science Temple of America, and you are watching Crumb TV.
Yo, this is that kid 179. You are now watching Crumb TV.
Crumb TV.